Gears of War. 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 Gears of War.
Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of Take Two. I am cameraman Joe.
I'm Classy Man Smiles. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, we're gonna have these every week, so that way, especially before the Christmas season, if you're interested in buying some of these games for yourself or for others, you kind of know what you're getting into if you don't already know about the games.
Totally. Today we're going to talk about Gears of War 2. Is that correct?
Yep.
And
Banjo-Kazooie.
nuts and or bolts.
All right, Gears of War 2. Some pros in that game. To be honest, I was kind of about the first one.
Totally. I was very
The second one was, to me, seemed like more of a complete story. Although it did leave off for, obviously, the trilogy
Really?
for the end of that. It was a lot more fun. I mean, you're able to... I remember in Gears of War 1, you know, you rode around in the tank. There was a few things here and there that was, you know, kind of level specific. But in Gears of War 2, I mean, you're riding on a Brumok, you're riding on, you know, flying around everywhere. You're inside the tank shooting that.
Yeah, see,
you're on the top. I mean, you're on turrets. I mean, the weapons and the variation that it has in Gears of War 2 is far supreme.
Excellent. I know every time I'd get to a cool part in Gears of War 1, you'd think, oh, I'm going to ride the Brumok, or oh, I'm going to get to go on that Reaver or whatever. But, you know, it ended up that you didn't get to, and you're just disappointed every time something like that happened. And it seems like Gears of War 2 has remedied some of that problem. But, you know, one thing that always bothered me about Gears of War 1 was I really felt like the whole cover system was great, but the rolling and all that all just felt really clunky to me. You think that was kind of helped out this time around?
You know, it was still a little glitchy,
Yeah.
to be honest. You know, there are times when you're sprinting and running, and then all of a sudden it puts you against a wall, and you're like, no. You know, especially when you're doing the Horde, which is another awesome feature
Horde
to
is
this,
really
where you can
cool.
play up to 5 people and just survive.
The thing about Gears of War 1 was I played the multiplayer a little bit, but I never really got into it. And part of that's because I read this somewhere that it became really oversaturated with incredibly good players. And you know, no matter what match you're in, you're pretty much going to get your ass kicked if you're not another excellent player. And that's what I really like about Horde, is that it's another, you know, it's a multiplayer option that isn't, you know, just
A versus match.
exactly. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really glad they put that in.
Some cons to this game. I felt like there was, as far as the story goes, like there's too much emotion behind some of these guys. Like these guys are hard asses. They're, you know, were in prison. You know, they're all on steroids. Their calves and ankles are as large as their stomach. Even the old guy, their commander, you know, he's like 96 and he's like ripped. You know,
It's like Professor Xavier in the X-Men animated series.
Exactly. You know, and the thing is, you know, you expect these guys to be, you know, total hard asses, and all of a sudden, you know, they're crying, they're emotional, you know, all these different things, and you're kind of like, you know, I can buy a lot of the human factor in that, but I mean, like, a lot of times you just got to be like, well, come on, let's do this, let's finish the mission.
But, you know, on the other hand, that was really one of the things that held back the story in Gears of War 1, was there was not much conflict. I mean, there was conflict, but it wasn't on a personal level.
Yeah.
It was, and there wasn't anything drawing me into the story, because, you know, when I see a story, I want personal, you know, experiences, and I don't want this big, you know, grand scheme of things. I want something a little more on my level. And that Gears of War 1
So
was,
your level is a lot higher than my level. What
Exactly.
You're saying. You're more sophisticated.
No, not at all. No. I'm just saying that the story in Gears of War 1 was not enthralling at all. And
Yeah.
you know, even though you do want to get to the ass kicking in Gears of War 2, but I think that the sappiness maybe did add a little bit more of an engrossing quality to the story.
I will say that in my other con for this game is definitely
Talking?
the talking. When they're on the mic, it's like, okay, any spy movie, any action movie, they're not like running, then all of a sudden it's like, yes, sir. You know what I mean? Okay, have them talking while they're running or some
Yeah,
shit.
no kidding.
You know?
Like, if you have an in-ear, you know,
Show
whatever.
a cutscene. I don't give a shit. But, you know, to kind of finish it up with Gears of War 2, the weapons.
Yeah,
The weapons are awesome. I mean, you can wield the minigun with I think they call, like, the mulcher or something like that. Or the grinder.
Awesome.
The boomers are back. And also the artillery. Artillery is awesome. I mean, you can sit up there. I mean, it's so cheap. You can just sit there and it's like, you know, Hammer of Dawn is not in it as much. the bow and arrow. The new bow and arrow is awesome.
And I like the proximity grenades. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's a
proximity
nice
grenades
little,
with like the ink blast and it poisons everybody. It's
very
pretty cool. I loved going up to people and sticking grenades on them and walking away.
Yeah. It's always
That's
fun.
always fun. All right,
Anyway.
on to nuts.
Nuts and Bolts, which is kind of a suggestive title, if you will. But yeah, everybody, I'm sure a lot of people have played the Banjo-Kazooie games from the golden era of Rare. But this is definitely taking a different direction with the franchise. But it's obviously, if you haven't heard much about this game, it's okay, Maggie. It's vehicle-based gameplay, and it's all objective-based. So you'll go into worlds like you would in any other Banjo-Kazooie game or platforming game, kind of like that. And you have objectives, but everything has to do with vehicles, which to me is kind of welcome, because honestly there's been so many of these open-ended 3D world platformers that I'm almost sick of them, and I was thinking, oh cool, Banjo's gonna try and do something different and make it fun and funny along the way, and they get pretty close to pulling it off, but it's just not quite there in my opinion. Like some of the really good things about the game are the customization. The workshop is so cool. It's endless, really. So if you're creative, you're really gonna like this aspect of it. I really liked, just chilling in the workshop, really, and just making vehicle after vehicle, like the Dickmobile, which is one of my favorite vehicles that I've made.
You just dick around?
I'm dicking around all day in the Dickmobile. But there's just some things that really hold it back, and for a vehicle game, the controls are really not. They're just not finely tuned like you would expect it to be. It just feels like these things, have no weight to them. They just kind of, roll around and get caught up on each other, and it doesn't feel realistic. And it's not supposed to feel realistic necessarily, but it should have some sort of root in the real world. But these vehicles, it's just not satisfying. I really liked it at first because I was like, oh cool, it's like Pilot Wings just with Banjo and objective stuff.
I thought I liked the humor in the game.
The humor is really, and it is really funny.
There's a lot of times, it's not like you're gonna be like laugh out loud, but it's gonna
right.
be, you're like, hear a joke or see something, you're like, huh.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. And it's, it's like self-actualized humor. They're making fun of themselves, basically.
Yeah.
Which is welcome. And I don't know, the humor is definitely there. The characters are there. The game looks fantastic.
The music's really good too.
The music's cool, like the music, but it's just not quite there. I wish they would maybe spend a little more time on it, because if this would have panned out the way they hoped it would, it'd be a great game. But it's just not quite there. A lot of people are complaining about the vehicle-based gameplay, but as I said, I kind of saw it as a welcome addition to the series, because it's not just your
it's
standard...
definitely them taking a leap out
Absolutely.
Out of the box,
Absolutely. And there is platforming, sort of, but you can get out of your vehicle, but like you can't really die. You can fly up to the very top of the level and fall out, and you'll just like Banjo does, and then
wait, how does he do it? I forgot.
That's kind of how Banjo sounds.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it?
I think it sounded exactly like him.
Well, thank you. But this game, and it really disappointed me, because at first, I freaking loved it. I was like, this is awesome. But the biggest drawback to this game was that it ends up that you're just doing basically 3 different things. You're either racing, which is the majority of everything with just checkpoints,
right?
Which is
racing
fine.
And
because you said, like, initially you were like, oh, so you basically just race every time. And I was like, no, there's you have to go fetch some stuff every once in a while.
And time.
And then
timed.
race. And then every once in a while you get one really cool, unique objective. And you're like,
most of it's
neat.
really
and
timed, so it's still a race.
Right, exactly. No, that's exactly right. It's a race in sheep's clothing. But yeah, that's really where this game falls, is that it's boring. It's freaking boring.
It's
and I know
Assassin's
that
Creed.
sucks. This game, I hate to be too hard on it, because it did provide a lot of fun towards the beginning, but it just falls short a lot.
All right, so final verdict. I'm gonna do Gears of War. Buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, especially if you're a fan, even me who didn't really like Gears of War 1, I would say buy Gears of War 2 for sure.
And then Banjo, either rent it or borrow it.
Yeah, if you're into it and you like the characters, it may be worth a buy, because it is $40, and that's like the big thing that this game has going for it, is it is budget. But especially if you were upset that it's not going to be an old platformer, then don't even touch it, because you'll just hate it even more.
All right. Well, there it is.
That's it for take 2, guys. Guess we'll
Episode
see you
2.
next week.